Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Flosum Day India, a fabulous webinar in our new Control Your Code series brought to you by Bolt Innovate and Flosum. Today, you will learn a lot about our speakers, about Bolt Innovate, about Flosum. We'll give you quick introductions. We'll go through some use cases. We're going to take you through a live demo, and we're going to share some customer feedback, and then we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. With the Q&A, if you just type your questions in the chat, I will moderate the questions. So feel free to do that. That would be the best way. So your speakers for today. So you have Sunil Kapsi, founder and director of Bolt Innovate. He'll be speaking.
Good evening.
Thank you. Nilesh Jadhav, Salesforce DevOps and Practice Head for Bolt Innovate. Our very own, thank you. Our very own Scott Cotter, Solutions Director for Flosum. You have myself, it's nice to meet you all, Lauren Danduszewski. I'm the VP of Global Alliance at Flosum. And you have Venkata Kakani, Senior Staff Technical Manager. So with that, I'm going to kick it off. Thank you so much. We're excited to get going.
Thanks, Lauren. Okay. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Good evening, everyone. And today is very exciting because this is our first webinar on with Flosum. Okay, and we are going to have a series of webinars which will deep dive into Flosum as a tool and how it can be helpful in your DevOps operations. Okay, so quickly to introduce my company, Bolt Innovative Transformations India Private Limited, which in short is Bolt Innovate. Okay, we are driven by the principle of connect, collaborate, celebrate. So connect, when we talk about whosoever are associated with Bolt Innovate, okay, be it our customers, be it our partners, or be it our employees, we want to make sure that we give them the customized and long-lasting impressions. Okay, so in case if it is customers, it is more of a reliable solutions. For partners, it's a trustworthiness, and for employees, it is a big career booster. Okay, we want to be recognized by in this particular terms. Collaboration is something that is in our DNA. We take a lot of efforts to bring in a lot of external expertise within the organization, and within this, and we want to build the skills within the organizations. Okay, so there are a lot of incentive models which we have built, which supports this concept of collaborate. Okay, and any organizations, if they're connected well, if they come with these intentions and collaboration is their passion, there is always a celebration. So because of which we have a very good amount of team spirit within the organization that can be felt lively if you're a part of a Bolt Innovate family. And then we have a lot of success stories purely because of connect and collaborate. And we have been consistently growing from last 8+ years now, 7+ years. Yeah. Next slide, please, Lauren. To give you more insights about what our organization is, we are a Salesforce shop. Okay, so we do whatever we do in Salesforce. Okay, that's the most important thing. We cut across all the entire CRM application, that is marketing, sales, and service. Okay, we have our own solutions which we deliver as a relationship map, sales metrics, and loan management system for the banking systems and NBFCs. We have our own solutions there which we take to the market. We have a good amount of expertise in marketing, sales cloud, order management, service cloud, experience cloud, custom development on force.com platform, so on and so forth. Okay, so that is our expertise. From the time we started, we have been working only for the large enterprise customers. Okay, and enterprise customers means an organization with 500+ employees. Okay, so we have put out programs for only enterprise kind of customers till now. Okay, can we move to the next slide, please? Those are our marquee customers. Okay, there are many more, but I've just selected and put a few out there. Okay, so we have been, the industry cloud from Velocity was our partner at one point of time. We have Metropolis Health, and lot of customers are based out of India, and many of them are outside India also. So North America is one of the region wherein we are focused a lot as such. Okay, yeah. Next slide, please. Yes. So, what do we do? What are our different lines of services? As an IT organization, a lot of our revenue comes from Salesforce designing and two things. Okay, one is Salesforce design and architecting. That is a consulting the work that we do. Okay, so you might have seen that Salesforce has transitioned from S controls to Visual Force pages to Lightning Aura to Lightning Web Component, so on and so forth. Okay, and there are many more architectural frameworks that they roll out for different kind of modules. Like they have Salesforce Commerce Cloud, Salesforce Revenue Cloud, so on and so forth. Okay, so we have we do a lot of architecting and consulting work in this particular space. Okay, we help creating the architectural blueprints, implementation blueprints, and then we create the business case studies for our customers. So that's the line of services that we have. Next slide, please. Unlike many organizations which thrive on support, we are thriving on implementations. Okay, so we always have 7 to 8 implementations going on at any given point of time. So we are primarily driven by implementations. Okay, and when we talk about an implementations, we do all kind of implementations. Okay, currently a majority of our implementations are based on Lightning Web Component architecture. Okay, we do a lot of legacy data, integration work. We do a lot of data migration. Currently, we are handling one of the largest, second largest healthcare company in India. We are associated with that, and we are doing a lot of data migration and integration work for them. Next slide, please. So, one of the most important line of services that we have is a Salesforce DevOps. Okay, I think so. Not many organizations appreciate the need for DevOps, but we are the one which are focused on DevOps as a practice, and we have Nilesh as our competency head leading this particular practice. And I will hand it over to him to drive the session from here. Yeah, over to you, Nilesh.
Thank you so much, Sunil. That was a good introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Nilesh Jadhav. I'm working as a Salesforce Release Manager and DevOps Practice Head for Bolt Innovative Transformation. Can we go to the back earlier slide? Let me give you a quick walkthrough of what exactly we deliver as a Bolt Innovative. So we just interact, we initiate a DevOps, we provide end-to-end solution for the Salesforce DevOps solution. So what we do, so we understand the customer's problem, we provide them a solution, we provide them a training, and guide the handhold them. We also define the process, how exactly the process needs to be, what are the best practices, how they should manage their Salesforce releases, and how they can communicate the technical changes to the wider audience. Now, when the two things are already set in a place, how you can measure your success criteria by implementing some automated tool, by push button deployment, by static code analysis, and also the audit and compliance, which plays a really important role in release management. And optimizing is something wherein we offer when we have to do we believe in a continuous improvement. What do you mean by continuous improvement? Already when the three process is set, that doesn't mean like your process is set. We need always the improvement. So for that purpose, we ensure that we go and find out what all the issues were in the retrospective. We find out the issues, what were identified, and based on that, we try to ensure that it's been automated testing is there. In fact, with the historical trend analysis, what were the issues, how we can fix it, and how can we align with the Salesforce major releases, and we can deliver it in a better way. So this was the line of the business, what Bolt offers. Can we move to the next slide? Lauren? Perfect. Here's one of the case study for the commercial IT industry wherein the Bolt Innovative have implemented recently. So wherein tool was identified, the demand for the customer was to ensure that to train their resource and in various aspects of the DevOps. They wanted to ensure that the development team is aware of all aspects, how they can streamline the release management, and they can fasten the delivery, and the business requirement can be fulfilled. Because there was a lot of gap, and that's the reason they choose Flosum. Okay, when we actually Bolt, when it got onboarded, there were a lot of challenges. So challenges in terms of a single sandbox was used for the entire development, which is not a good practice. Wherein all development teams like operation support team, production support teams, development support team were using the same sandbox, wherein a lot of user stories were built at the same time. The problem was that not all user stories were getting approved by QA, not approved by business, and but very less were approved for the production. Because of this, the delivery cycle and the business requirement were not getting fulfilled. This turned into biggest problem, that was the environments were getting out of sync every time. So the biggest problem was that they had almost 250 user stories backlogged in UAT and SIT, which were not delivered to production. And when it was delivered to the production, there it had a lot of production issues, which development team has to work again and deliver it. So it was not in sync. The deployment tool which they were using was the traditional, that was change set. Because of that, they didn't have a proper version control. So no version control, no control on the metadata changes, what the developers are making or the operation teams are making. So they were overriding a lot of each other's codes. And because of this, the deployment was to get delayed. The reason why, as the tech leads used to handle the deployment part, wherein they were also working and doing the streamlining of their day-to-day activities, but also they were involved in the deployment. A lot of deployment failures, extended nights and long deployment delay. The deployment is to get delayed. So this was the biggest challenge. And how did we solve this? Is that we started talking with all the stakeholders like business, in fact, the QA team, development team, and also the project management team, how it needs to be, what is their wish list. Based on that, we try to identify we categorize into four categories. That is your deployments, your environments, that is sandbox, your process, and people. Based on that, we categorize the problem and we started providing a solution that is to streamline the entire release management process. Second is that how the branching can be aligned with the release management. That is your hot fixes, your quick hits, your feature releases, which are ad hoc and which are the long going releases, how it can be aligned together. And one of the biggest thing was that how to ensure the sandbox doesn't get out of sync. So this was the one thing. So we created a back sync process, which helped the team to ensure that all the sandboxes are in sync. So refresh cycle was a periodic. In fact, by implementing this, board believe that result was really surprising, that 99% success rate was there. And in fact, all the changes were deployed using the branches. Okay, so there were a lot of business value wherein the business can see the fasten in the deployment, as they were getting a lot of requirement and they were getting fulfilled by the development and IT team. Second is that the QA were really happy because what they have tested in the dev environment, QA environment, and just a sanity test when it was done in a UAT, it was same. Nothing was getting overridden, and it was identical which user story this changes belongs to which user story. The deployment was in the automated deployment was there till SIT, so that the team can deliver it in a faster way. But we kept it in a better way, that is for UAT deployment, you can have a specific window and flow through. Once it's approved, only those changes will be delivered. Because of this, business had enough time to test it properly and give approval. With the change control, they were able to deliver it in a better way, and the business was also, the stakeholders were all really happy for this. So this was one of the case study which really helped the customer also, and the whole team has done a really good job of this. Can we move to the next slide? Perfect. So we internal board, we have a really good expert folks who are really experienced in Flosum implementation. So this particular phase was divided into 6 weeks, the implementation. So understanding, and first was the discovery, talking to the customer, understanding their requirement, documenting the KPIs, the challenges, where exactly this problem is facing. As I said earlier, we divided into people, process, environment, and deployment issues. So based on that, we were able to deliver and identify where exactly the changes needs to be made. Based on that, one of the biggest factor was that whatever the process was defined, it was documented. The proper user manual was created, so that any person who gets onboard to the project, he can use that and start working from the day one without anyone's help. So that was done by the Bolt team and the release engineers and release architect. So with that, the Bolt was able to fulfill this and get the live first production deployment within 6 weeks. And this was the complete plan. And what exactly we did in this project? Can we move to the next slide? Perfect. Thank you. So the rapid within 6 weeks. So why we needed a 6 weeks? If anyone can say that, okay, we can do it within 2 weeks, 3 weeks also. But it was not only implementing the Flosum, it was implementing the entire release management process. So how we did, we identified the KPIs, we mapped the key processes, your release management process, your branching strategy, your sandbox, your rollback process. In fact, the CI/CD, when and how it needs to be done, continuous integration and continuous delivery needs to be done. In fact, how your code quality can be maintained, like with Apex PMD, and in a future state, what it can be. So those things we did in such a way. With that, within 6 weeks, the Bolt was able to deliver the first successful deployment of the customer. After that, to guess that and to measure what we have done, so we had a success customer survey. In fact, with the metrics where we have identified the KPIs, we were able to judge the ratings, and based on that, the customer survey and feedback was very successful. And this all, when the best part was this, it was done by only 2 team members. Okay, so can we move to the next slide?
Hello, I'm Scott from Flosum, and I'm going to share a little bit of information with you about the Flosum product before we then move in and discuss the project and see a demonstration. So Salesforce is different. We all know that. A lot of Salesforce professionals here. And some of the things that Flosum has built into our product to address those differences in the Salesforce environment are listed here. The first column there, many cross-platform tools, Git-based tools or other systems that large enterprises are using for version control and release management, they don't have a good understanding of the Salesforce environment. The component structure is different, the development environment is different, some of the practices in the way that you can make changes and configure is different. And we feel that it's important that a release management tool address those specific Salesforce items. So that's one of the things that is very different about this product. Second, we know that in Salesforce, there are often declarative developers or Salesforce admins who are a valid and very important part of the development process. Those people oftentimes don't have the training or skills that pro developers would have. And therefore, having a system that addresses some of those usability challenges, things like conflict resolution, avoiding overwrites, having visibility of what other changes are happening are very important. Of course, release quality and flexibility, you have to have the right quality gates and checks that understand the Salesforce environment and are very specific to the way you develop in Salesforce is something that we've built into the product. And then managing environments. That is also a big challenge, keeping all those sandboxes in sync. We heard from the Bolt team that for their recent client, going from a shared single dev sandbox to distributed sandboxes, that actually, a lot of companies will stay with a single shared dev sandbox or shared sandboxes by project, just because this managing of the Salesforce environments is so difficult. Keeping sandboxes in sync. If you don't do that, you're going to promote changes that are going to cause problems downstream. And finally, the last thing, we've built a very robust governance and security model in. Many companies will find that, especially in highly regulated industries, many companies find that they have full visibility can respond to audits or compliance challenges faster, perform their compliance reporting, because everything you need to track back any single component, who changed it, who deployed it, who approved it, what quality gates did it pass, what user story spawned it, all of that is visible with a click and a drill down in Flosum. So that's a little bit about the product and some of the capabilities that we have developed for that Salesforce environment. A little bit about the architecture. We're very different. When we deploy a new customer, we set up a new prod org, and that is where this Flosum application runs. And a native repository is also included with that, so it can be a very turnkey system. That Flosum environment connects via OAuth to the customer's Salesforce instance. So your prod org, your full and partial copy sandboxes, and all your dev environment have a connection and are managed and monitored by the Flosum environment. Also, there are many managed packages or Salesforce ISV partners with significant applications that we have tailored the experience to handle those. Many customers, focusing on the left side of this column, many customers will have some tools that their enterprise IT group use as standards. We know that it's important for Flosum to integrate with those types of best-in-class tools. So you've got ALM tools like Jira, ServiceNow, Azure DevOps, and others. You've got quality tools listed there like scanning tools or test automation. You've got CI/CD automation, Jenkins, GitHub, or GitHub Actions, webhooks, things like that. And then if an organization has a version control system in place that is the mandated central source of truth, then we'll integrate with that and have a bidirectional sync. So that Flosum org, given that this is native in Salesforce, what this means is, and it's very important, your metadata and code base, your data that's contained within your Salesforce environment is never going to leave your IT boundary. Unlike some other tools or systems where they're SaaS applications that extract that data out onto other servers, their servers for processing, everything stays in Salesforce and it's your Salesforce environment. Next. My last comment, we have architected and designed this system specifically for Salesforce to address those unique challenges, as I mentioned, and the market appreciates it. You can see by either the App Exchange or on third-party sites like G2 that Flosum is very highly rated, and these are end-user rankings and feedback that I think are a very good testimony to the value of this application. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to the Bolt team.
Thank you so much, Scott. Right, perfect. Now, okay, so I really wanted to understand. I know, like most of them are developers, few are the QAs, some of them are from the business. I know some of the product owners and the platform owners as well. So the biggest problem is that how do we have implemented this complete DevOps end-to-end implementation? So here's some small architect, and I know that most of the developers has this challenge. How do I retrieve my changes from the development doc and promote the changes to the next target doc? This is one of the biggest problems. The QA person is that whether whatever is retrieved, whether it's working on the environment, whether it's not working on my QA environment. So we, by looking all the aspects, we design. Bolt has designed the flow in such a way that the development happens on a development sandbox. Each developer has its own development isolated environment. He works on a user stories. He creates a snapshots and he commits to the branch. Now, it's committing to the branch is one of the easiest way which I have seen in Flosum. Second, and there are multiple ways how you can retrieve the snapshot, which I'll show in a next demo. Now, once the user stories are retrieved, how do I follow the quality gates? Now, the quality gate, the most important part for me is that my code should not be overridden by any other person. Second thing is that it should go through static code analysis. It should have a proper quality code coverage. I should have known the validation errors well before it's validated. Fourth thing is that I need to know what are the dependencies. As developer knows that some other way they miss some components. And I'm sure that developer will realize this. Sometimes not everyone miss, but sometimes we make make mistakes. Now, how to overcome these mistakes? Even there we have a solution. The biggest problem is that people work on the manual part, that is get profile and permission. Just imagine, like, if you have working on a feature, it requires a lot of, there are almost 3 to 400 components, and wherein you have given a profile and permission. And making the permission, it's most of the in projects which I've seen, that's a manual and post deployment activity. Now this things entire will be eliminated. How? So this is one of the quality gate which we have added. Through one click button, you can get all your permission, profile settings, and in fact override things can be done. Your first quality gets through before you commit your changes to the SIT branch. Once it's deployed, SIT, it's merged to the SIT branch. It's a collaborative branch wherein all developers knows who is making what changes. And once that has been done, the collaboration is happening. Once it's deployed to SIT, let's take an example. Okay, all 4 user stories are deployed. One user story is we have received a feedback from the QA. Now, whether to go keep this user story in the same environment or whether we have to work on the development part, it can be decided by the development team and the project team. However, by the remaining 3, how we can ensure that it's been promoted to UAT environment. For that purpose, we need a QA approval and a testing sign off. Once that is received, the pipeline will be triggered. The developer has to commit the changes to the release branch. And as I said earlier, all these changes are getting deployed using the release branch only. So once it's deployed, all the 3 user stories are merged to the release branch. We have created 2 pipelines. The 2 pipelines are such as, like, if you commit before UAT window starts, you can commit your user stories. So the pipeline will get triggered. It will validate against UAT and it will also validate against production. There could be a possibility like your UAT validation is successful, but your production, you receive some feedback or some errors. So the development team can start working parallelly at the backend. Now, once the UAT window is open, now whatever the developer user stories are there, that you can directly validate and deploy it, because already those user stories are validated. Now, the third thing is that if after opening the user's UAT window, any user stories are merged to that particular release branch, so the delta will be validated. So, or let's assume like already 300 components are there in a release branch and you have committed only 20 components. So not 300 plus 20, not 320 will be validated. It will be validated only delta, that is 20. It will pick up, the pipeline will start in such a way that it will validate against UAT, it will deploy to UAT, and it will validate against production, so that in between the UAT window, whoever has brought the user story, they get a feedback well in advance and they can start working. Now here is a situation wherein all the user stories are deployed to UAT. However, few user stories are not approved by the business and they require additional time for testing, or some requirement or some business person is on a PTO. Now it's not, we haven't received the sign off. However, it's already there in UAT. So whatever user stories are approved, so through the change control board, this will be approved, it will be bundled, and it to demerge specific user story branch, it's very easy in Flosum. It's just a one click, you go and demerge the specific user story branch from that release branch, and that delta will be removed from the release branch. However, it will be removed from the release branch, that branch is still available on your Flosum. Now, the remaining part is once you have done it, you validate with the production. It's already validated. You proceed with the deployment. When deployment is completed, commit the changes to the master repository, and the same branch will be back synced to all the development and development sandboxes. The reason why, because as I said earlier, we have to be more collaborative, and for that purpose, whatever changes are deployed to production, the same will be back synced to the development sandbox. And developer will be given that, but then for that purpose, there is a process which is already defined. So developer, they themselves can do the check the override protection, check the live validation, and then they can commit it to their sandboxes. Okay, can we go to the next slide, or else let me share my screen so that I can give a quick demo whatever I have just presented, so that I can give you a glimpse like what we were talking about. am I able to?
You should be able to just share screen.
Okay, 1 second. All right, perfect. The screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Now, this is a Flosum org. So this is a bold Flosum org, which has been given, which my team is using here. So what we have done, it's a managed package. And as Scott said, with your production org, Flosum org is completely isolated. It's nothing to do anything with. Its only connection has been built. Okay, so your code is in your org only. It doesn't come, nothing comes in your Flosum org. So first thing is that how do we actually identify our Kanban? The way you have seen the Kanban board, similar way, we have a Kanban board which has been configured. So let me see. So it's loading. Right. Perfect. Let me just move on to the next part. So orgs. As development sandbox, as we can authenticate our sandbox. How do we authenticate our developer sandbox? So we can have our developer or developer pro, any developer sandbox can be integrated with this Flosum org. So it's very easy to authenticate. Just we need to go click new, provide the details of your org, click whether the sandbox is a sandbox or whether it's a developer edition, whether it's a developer edition or whether it's a cloud org. So we need to select the type and give the name. And if we select the right option, it will ask you for the credential. It will take you to the login page of your sandbox, or whether it's a developer, it will ask you for the login.salesforce.com and you can log in it. Once the sandbox is authenticated, so it will show in the org detail page here. All right. Here we go. So it will be reflected in this way. So just for the demo purpose, just we have created some orgs. Now we have a dev sandbox. So one of the best part, as I said earlier, it's very easy to retrieve your changes from your sandbox. How? So most of the time, okay. So if you have seen the dev hub is available on your production org, and over there we have a source tracking enablement. So if source tracking enablement is enabled, so any changes which we make on a development sandbox, it's very easy to identify. As I said earlier, like most of the time when we work on a community pages or any specific flow or labels or triggers, so API names, we are not sure of what are the API names, or the managed package component also. So all these component modified changes we can see in the, when we click select the org, we can see the latest changes which will get reflect on the Flosum org. So it's very easy to any person to go and select and directly commit to the branch. If already a branch is created, or you have to create a branch, new branch, you can do that way. So very easy, retrieve the changes and commit to the branch. Now there's another way you can create a snapshot or a schedule a snapshot. Okay. So once it's, how has that been done? Once you create a snapshot, you need to give a snapshot name. You can put the 0 days from when exactly these changes were made. Whether I need to retrieve the standard components. What I need to do is that select the component type. I need to select the component name. I give the equal, and I go and select the specific component type. For example, if I want to see here, classes, pages, trigger, if I want to select, or any community or community page or something, if I just go randomly select this. But one thing is important here, that I need to give a proper API name. The first option was easiest. If I want to retrieve the entire snapshot of the org, I can do the 0 snapshot. The 0 snapshot is that just go and select, don't select anything, just select component type equals to, not equals to specific thing, and go and create a snapshot. So it will take at least a couple of hours, and it will retrieve entire org snapshot. That is all your components with the metadata will be reflected, will be retrieved, and it will be on your specific org. So any specific managed package components you can see at the bottom. So any components, any managed package are installed on a production node. So those things you can see over here, and you can retrieve it. This is moreover very useful for the CPQ, velocity, or any managed package wherein the development team use mostly the managed package components. So very easily they can retrieve it, and whatever the name has been selected, the snapshot will be completed, and it will give you the error, and it's just need a comma separation. Okay, I'll go and I'll go back to the earlier page because this will take us time. So I'll go back to the development sandbox once again, and I'll show you how exactly the retrieval part is reflected. So I have one of the snapshot which was created recently. If you see here, the name was given. Okay, so a naming convention as a bold, we follow some standard best practices. So we ensure that if for any snapshot creation, you give a specific naming convention should be there. For branching strategy, the branching proper branching naming convention should be there. Release should be a release specific branching naming convention, and any hotfixes or backsync, proper naming, so that in future whenever you want to try to get some details also, you go and get that through the proper by naming also, by searching by name. So how exactly the retrieval part gets reflected here? So if you can see that this retrieval part was done, and there are some components which have been modified and it has been reduced. So you can see that there are classes, triggers, component compact layout, objects, layouts, and validation rules. So these were the retrieval which was done, and this is the result how it will show. Now, if the same thing has to be retrieved and it has to be committed to the branch, so the branch, let me show you some branch where exactly this has been committed, and how it can be committed is directly from here. I have two options. Directly, I can commit to my repository and commit to the branch. But well, it's already committed to the branch, but let me show you how exactly it looks like. This is a more, I could just tell that like developer can correlate what they face the problem day to day, and how this will solve their problem. So if I search for branch, what is the branch? One second. Simply merge to the branch. So let me search for branch. Right, perfect. We got it. It's a lot of branches created, so just got a little bit confused there. Okay. So if you see that the same components, you can find it, which I was showcasing earlier. And all those components are committed to this particular branch. Now, once this components are committed to the branch, how exactly the process will happen? So if you see here in a state, I do see that from where exactly, what was the origin, where exactly this branch was getting originated, what is the source? That is a development sandbox, is the dev2 sandbox. And through dev2, a branch is created by name, that's a feature 2023, it's a sprint 3, and user story is 119. So 119 is a user story which is reflecting on my board. So for that purpose, it's updated as 119. Now, this will give you a complete overview from what is the journey. If it's just validated against SIT, if it's merged to the release branch, whether it's been promoted to production. So those changes you can reflect. It can be seen in a diagram view here, which helps developer, in fact, with the business to understand and see that where exactly this user story is currently. So these are the components and components which are supposed to be get deployed. And at the bottom, you can see that there's a destructive changes. So destructive changes mostly in package XML. In ant migration, you have to add the destructive.package XML, whether it's a pre and post destructive, you need to update those details. But over here in a Flosum, we have the same thing, which add as a pre-destructive or post-destructive, which will help you to delete your components from the target environment. And the manual steps, as everyone knows that, like most of the time for every user story, at least we have a manual steps, which cannot be deployed, or whether it's a data load or something. So those steps can be added at the bottom. So what will happen here? So if those things are added, let me minimize this. So if we add those things, the release manager will have that visibility that after deployment, he will go and deploy those changes to the specific target environment, right? So this is really good. Okay, if in case this is validated, I can see that with which environment it's validated. Now, currently, I'll do one thing. I will go with one of the quality gate, which is really good and which really helps to the developer and the release manager, and it really reduces the time. So most important feature of the Flosum is override protection. Now, already I have retrieved some changes from my dev sandbox, and I wanted to promote it to ensure that it goes with the proper quality gate. Now, if I do this override protection, whatever the changes are there in my branch, I will try to validate against the target environment without starting my validation. And I can see how my code is getting changed. So let me do this override protection. That means any other developer who has already committed some changes, it can be reflected on the SIT. That is, you're comparing a branch with the target environment. And real life differentiator you can see in this. You can see the programmative changes also, and also declarative changes. As most of them know that, in fact, layouts also you're making a post-deployment step. It doesn't go with the deployment. It's because you don't know the sequence somewhere when you create a commit the changes. It goes up not in proper sequence. So for that purpose, it's been taken as a manual step, and it's a completely error port. So for that purpose, what we do is that here we are trying to compare the branch against the product SIT environment. Here it's been divided into 3 parts. Whether any changes which are there on target environment, we can see those. For example, if I'm checking the profile, okay, I think like I've just it's like any other component. Cancel this and let me open another part. Validation rule or layout. Okay, layout. And let me just take a layout. As this is a manual step, most of the team members are doing it. So if I want to remove specific thing and I need to add a field in a layout, so how does exactly it looks? So for example, if you can see that on a target environment, delivery date is already there, but in my branch, it's not there. That means this is the latest component and this has to get deployed over there. However, this could be a possibility that this is changed by some developer. In that case, the developer's name will reflect on the SIT on the target environment. If you see here, changed by Nilesh Jadhav on Wednesday, 21st June. Similarly, when it was deployed by any other developer, his name will be reflected here. So if you want to remove or if you want to keep the changes, it's very easy. You can remove that part. So that part will be removed from your branch. Okay. If you want to save this, you can save it or you can cancel it. Okay. Similar goes with the profile settings. I will show you exactly how the profile changes can be retrieved. Profile and permissions. So I had some components, that is a classes, validation rule, layouts, and a few fields. So if in case I want to see if I've given a permission, FLS, class level permission, layout assignment, to any specific layout, or if I want to remove specific any permission also, that I can do it using, I can get those changes from my source org, and it very easily I can update it over here. So if you see here, this is the one event profile which is created, and there are some classes. So the class which is not available on the target environment, and it doesn't have given its no class permission is given there. Okay, so any changes if you can see here, field permission, Yeah, this was getting deployed. However, the FLS has also been added for the event profile. With that said, login, object level permission, or any changes related to the user permission also, those things you can easily deploy without making manual changes on a target environment. So this is one of the best feature what I feel for the Flosum. Let me cancel this. Now, any changes, the components which are new and which are not present in the target environment, which will show that these are the components which are missing in the target environment. And the components which are already same, which is same in your development environment and also in your target environment, it will reflect over here. That means these are the same components. So before promoting, before validating, you know that what you're making the changes. Now, there's one more very good feature. What I see from the Flosum is the pre-deployment fix. Before starting my validation, I can see that what could be possible errors. Did I miss anything? As I said earlier, being a developer, there's a possibility that I can miss any of the component or a field or a label. I can miss it, which is already referring in my class. So in that case, I have one feature. It's called pre-deploy fix. So what exactly is pre-deploy fix? If I show that developers mostly struggle on the record types, the pick list values. So because record types have a lot of values, and they prefer doing it manually rather going and doing it through the deployment. Now, what exactly Flosum offers you here? That is any changes which are there in your branch. However, it's not promoted to the target environment, okay? Which is not promoted to target environment. So what it will do, it will go and analyze that particular your source branch with a target, and it will showcase you, and it will show you errors. Hey, these are the errors, these are the fields which are you're trying to promote to the target environment. However, those are not at all available on your branch. Either you retrieve it or either you remove it. So here here is one example for just to showcase here. What all difference it shows? API version, missing component. So this is the one missing component which I want to give you an example. If you see object, okay, object and object level things, you can see these things are missing. I can remove it or either I can retrieve it. Okay. So this is one of the good feature what I see here in a Flosum. And similarly, if any pick list values, record types, which the values are there, it can be done. Now let me start the pipeline. And because the pipeline, it's been created in such a way, 122. I'll not take much time here. 122. Take a release batch. So this is a branch which I'm trying to merge it to one of the release branch, so that a pipeline gets triggered. So the release branch, the pipeline is associated that validate against UAT and production. So if I want to promote this branch, that particular branch, what I need to do is I need to merge it. Right, here we go. And once it's validated, you can see that these are the components which are new and I want to merge it. I see that there is no destructive changes. The components will not merge. That is, it's the same, and I'll try to merge it. So at the moment I merge it, it will ask me the confirmation. It's committed. The pipeline will get triggered where it's creating a backup, and yeah. If I go and see the pipeline, now here we can see that I've just started the trigger for UAT validation and also the production validation. So that means this branch is already deployed to SIT. Now I've merged it to the release branch, and the pipeline is triggered, and the pipeline will start for validation also, and also go for the production deployment also. And when one of the best part, what I see, I would like to tell you that we do have an option here for validate and deploy manually also, and with the pipeline also. And the last part is that we can roll back the changes, and we can commit the changes once it's deployed to the production. So this will take time, but I do have a branch which is already deployed, which I can showcase you. One of the branch which is yeah. So if you see here, these changes were deployed through the pipeline, validation and deployment. It's already done through the pipeline, and the pipeline was associated to this. That is validate and UAT validation and production validation. So this changes, this pipeline was through. Over to Lauren.
Great.
Yes, perfect.
I think like I'm short of time, but I had a lot of things which I wanted to cover. But I think like just I've given a glimpse that not all the things, but the peer review pipeline, the swim lane, which is really good features, which makes Flosum out of the box.
Yeah,
I can take the screen sharing.
Let's do this. Venkata, are you ready to do your slide? Okay, yes. So let me share the screen. And Nilesh, we're going to have more sessions, so we have plenty of more time in the future. Perfect.
Right. Hey, everyone. This is Venkata here. I'm a senior manager for enterprise applications in GE, General Electric. And Scott and Sunil, thanks for having me in this forum. I'm sure I'm not going to take much time, but I would like to address and share a few things from my standpoint. Based on a statistics report that was released in 2022 in Global CIO Forum, it was shared that all the companies have increased their DevSecOps investment by close to 35% in the last 5 years. And that has been happening due to the growing security and compliance needs, and ever increasing business demands, and increase in faster turnaround time. And also the last but not the least, let's all improve the developer experience. So there are critical needs that are evolving on day-to-day basis, which is requiring all of us, not just any company, to put the investments in right places. So just like any company out there, most of them are suffering with certain challenges. Either they have deployment frequencies which are much lower, or maybe the lead time to changes are way higher. Sometimes there are production failures and we need to restore the services quickly, shortly, and we don't have much time. And also we need to reduce our change failure rate. There is only so much we all can do. Just like a stool needs 3 legs to stand, so does for any DevSecOps, we need a right product, a process that works for your company, and bringing the people together is the right recipe for a great success. So hence, we were also in the similar path at one point of time, and we had the opportunity to pick up the right product, Flosum, and we had the pleasure to work with Bolt Innovate. It was our first experience. I think, although Sunil and I have only met once, we have embarked on our digital transformation journey, be it the Salesforce development or be it the DevOps journey. I think Sunil and team have done an excellent job. They have a concept of quick to market or quick to customer. They would want to improve or deliver the value on an incremental fashion, deliver the value early on, rather than take like 6 months for a project release. So even it could be for DevOps. I think team has approached us. They have done the current state analysis. They have quickly come up with a process, a refined and a defined process that works for us, and made sure that we have buy-in from all the people, from business stakeholders, from the technology leaders, and also from the developers. And then team has, I think, probably have taken less than a month or 2 to quickly get this Flosum DevOps implementation up and running. And we had a very small team, but it was much powerful. They made it felt like they've done this several times before, and they made it look very easy on us. But the most important thing on any DevOps implementation, bringing a tool, implementing it is probably only the 30% of the project. Remaining 70% remains in the adoption. We can have a product implemented, but if the developers are not ready to adopt, or if the developers have not built the muscle memory of the new process, and it will lead to failures. So our team, Bolt Innovate team, not only have built the project or the setup initial process, they have spent months standing with the developers, taking them through the regular trainings, helping them understand the process, getting them certified even before they even get to access the Flosum. Has made our journey quite simpler, faster, and we were able to recognize and realize the value sooner. So 3 tips to this forum that I would want to share is: adoption is the key to success. Make sure that you spend enough time towards learning, training, adopting to the product and the process. Number 2, DevOps is a journey. You always have to build, measure, learn, and improve on an incremental recurring basis. And the third and most important thing, DevOps is a mindset. You have to constantly look for ways to improve your visibility, quality, speed, resilience, and collaboration all the time. Having said that, I think we are very happy with the experience that we've had with Bolt Innovate. And I'm going to turn this over to Scott and team. And thank you for having me here.
Venkata, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much. That was so insightful. We do have 2 minutes left. I'm going to take us through the next slide here. And this is a little bit of how you can learn more about Flosum. You can go to our success portal. It's success.flosum.com. And you can sign up as a new user. Anyone can sign up. You can take professional courses, expert level courses. We're continually updating our Success Center. There's also a knowledge base. The knowledge base has articles, videos, so it's a great resource for learning. The next item is contact information. You can reach Bolt Innovate at any point in time with any of the information on the left here. It's www.boltinnovate.com, pretty simple. You can reach Scott from Flosum with Scott at Flosum scotter@flosum.com. You can reach the partner team and get private sessions at referrals@flosum.com. And I will say that there have been a lot of questions throughout the session in the QA section. If you want to hang on, I'll read the questions. So I will stay here and I will read the questions and the answers, and perhaps the rest of the Flosum team and Bolt team will hang on as well. What I will close with before I read the questions is this is the first of many in a series, so we'll be having more. We're going to be reaching out to everyone who attended and even registered. We're going to be sending a copy of the entire recording, so you'll be able to have all this information at hand. We'll also list all the contact information in the body of the email, so you don't have to remember anything. And we're going to give you a short survey at the end that asks you which topics you would love to see next. So we'll have a little fun with this. Thank you. Feel free to drop if you would like to. And if you would like to stay on, we're going to go to the Q&A section. All right, here we go. So if you have any fresh ones, any new ones, you can just hit the Q&A button and type them in there. And I'm going to read the ones that happened during the session. Would Flosum have access to customers' data? When you spin up a sandbox from production, like full copy sandbox, how does data masking ensure compliance on GDPR, PII data? So Flosum has no access to customer data. The Flosum application runs in a dedicated prod org. Like Nilesh actually showed during the demo, the org is managed by the customer with no access by Flosum at all. All of your data and your metadata is within your company's Salesforce environment. It's all subject to the same systems and processes for securing Salesforce that you already have in place. And what makes Flosum a more powerful when compared with Capado tool? So this is a whole webinar in and of itself, but in a nutshell, I'll read some of the response here. Several capabilities that are unique to Flosum. We'll just go there. Turnkey native version control system is an option not offered by any other solution. Conflict handling logic was built specifically for Salesforce component structures, not standard Git tools. Flexible branching can save effort, keeping environments in sync. Demerge to remove a user story from release branch or rollback for any deployment and any org. There are other feature level capabilities that together save dev teams as much as half of their time with release and environment administration. So this conversation can go on, like I said, a long time, and we can take that separately. Is there any feature available to back up the target organization of a component when we are deploying it? Flosum is designed to be a turnkey DevOps platform for Salesforce. It includes a native version control system that is hosted within the new prod org that hosts Flosum. In addition, we can integrate with the customer's Git version control system. Whichever approach is selective, native version control or Git integrated version control, the target org is backed up before any deployment. Okay. We have an open question here. So I'll probably call on Scott here. Does Flosum offer orgs for practice?
Yeah, I can take that, Lauren. The certification that I think Lauren will close with that slide, or we put it in the webinar chat, has two levels. The first level is a self-led video system where you watch a series of about 10 or 12 3-minute videos to learn the basic principles of Flosum. The second level, that expert level, you actually get a playground, set up a new Flosum instance for yourself, and then are led through some of the concepts that were only shown in video in that first level. So the first level professional, not hands-on, takes about an hour of your time to get through that. The expert led is the playground with an org and a Flosum instance that you can practice with. That's probably going to be about at least 10 to 15 hours of your time to get through those exercises. So it's a little more involved. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Scott. One or two more. Does Flosum provide tools for test automation as well? Flosum has several inbuilt quality gates for test automation. We integrate with a customer's test automation tool of choice. Webhooks can initiate test automation from a Flosum pipeline. We have some key partnerships also on the testing side too. We can definitely have side conversations and go through those as well. And we have some integration information on the success.flosum.com portal too. Okay, let's see. Read that one. Does Flosum support components of SFI, Salesforce Industries, formerly known as Velocity, Data Raptors, OmniScripts, etc.? These are not metadata in Salesforce. These are object records. So Flosum is an approved release management partner for Salesforce Industries. There are no additional capabilities designed that were not demonstrated today already. Let's see. Yep. How are components committed in branches? Is Flosum directly connected to a version control system? And can we use point and click function of Flosum to commit changes? Flosum is connected to sandboxes and can proactively monitor to gather changes to be cherry picked for commit by a developer, key differentiator, or a snapshot can be used to specifically select components to commit. Third, VS Code can be used to commit changes to a branch. Is there any feature available to back up the target organization of a component when we are deploying it? Flosum is designed to be a turnkey DevOps platform for Salesforce. It includes a native version control system that is hosted within the new prod org that hosts Flosum. In addition, we can integrate with the customer's Git version control system. I think we covered something similar to this earlier, so I'll skip over this one. Let's see. So 2 devs are working in the same LWC component and gets override if we won't update it. Latest develop branch, how Flosum can handle that if it won't get overrided. That got a little distorted there, but Nilesh had showed overwrite protection working. In short, Flosum conflict resolution is invoked at several points in the release process. Number 1, if a feature branch is merged into a release branch. Number 2, when a branch is being deployed to a target org, any potential overwrite is displayed for the user to see and act upon. So we'll stop there. We're 7 minutes over. We very much appreciate having you all today. We had a great turnout. Like I had mentioned, we're going to send the recording, a thank you message, contact information, and a small survey. Thank you so much to our panelists, our speakers, our guests, GE Digital. We really appreciate this, and have a great night, everyone. Great day as well.